The next earnings from Nvidia have the potential to revolutionize the industry. This stock has the potential to soar if they succeed. I'm referring to a moonshot here. Now is the moment to stock up if you're feeling bullish, but it's a high-risk, high-reward bet. He claims that Nvidia is the main stock linchpin, kingpin, or whatever, and that Nvidia will be the next week. I don't want anyone to make or break Nvidia, as you have already said. Since Nvidia is the S&P's top-performing stock, investors are always flocking to this company. At Meta, artificial intelligence is assisting their business by enabling their clients to ignore and forget about the Apple iOS issue, which is now in the past. As the CEO, Jensen, and Mark Zuckerberg would both tell you, they do it through a relationship, a very close partnership with Nvidia. These are the guys who truly get who we are and what we're doing. Jensen once warned me that if Mark was aggressive, he would not have his support. I don't think this is the end of the AI story, but it might be. Who doesn't think that the AI story will transform everything in the long run, even though it seems to be a little toppy right now? Speaking of technology, Bob, we were compiling the data that examined Nvidia's post-earnings reaction a week before to the company's earnings. Nvidia has gained roughly 10% the day after releasing its earnings in 5 of the last 6 quarters. Expectations are high for this report, especially with the uncertainty around a possible Blackwell delay. Isn't that right? This raises the question of whether the echo gets slightly less each time. I would expect a very strong earnings beat of some sort, but keep in mind that Nvidia's statistics increased so dramatically over the last 2 years that the market had to catch up due to their AI move and play. Additionally, I believe that the market is already expecting these beats. I believe that you will receive significant feedback, but I do not believe that you will experience the same abrupt upward shift that you had in 2022 and 2023. You know what? The market has risen so rapidly that it makes sense for it to draw back. That's why it's locked at 129 a share. Indeed, a fall is likely necessary, and it has been fueled by megacaps. Nvidia's earnings the following week will likely be the biggest driver of those megacaps. So, before Nvidia's reports, would I be shocked to see some sideways price action for the QQQ and the Nasdaq? No, but I'd rather not wager against Nvidia's profits. In my opinion, the key question facing the market this week in relation to Jackson Hole is whether we can resume the expanding out. Are small caps allowed to take part, since their participation in this recovery hasn't been nearly as significant as that of the other equity size classes? That, in my opinion, is really significant. I believe little caps must eventually attend the celebration on Friday. There's a chance that Nvidia may give you some advice that is lower than anticipated and that the AI market is slowing down. And you can maintain this market moving forward, even if it moves sideways for the remainder of the year, if you have selling in those stocks and no selling in the rest of the market, which is doubtful. A further increase in multiples between now and the end of the year is not a given. By the end of September, I don't believe the market will actually be trading at 22 or 23 times next year's earnings. Therefore, in my opinion, the risk is primarily tied to Nvidia and will materialize within the next 10 days. In 10 days, which is 1 week from now, if there is disappointment, it will be resolved in the 10 days that follow. No, I know what you mean, but we have a lot to do and must first overcome Jackson Hole. You still consider that to be the line in the sand for this market, even if you have more data coming before you reach Nvidia, don't you? Without a doubt, Nvidia poses the greatest market risk in my opinion. Jackson Hole, in my opinion, is primarily about whether tiny caps and some of the absent equity size classes or sectors can join the rally. It's entirely Nvidia for me. However, it's crucial for viewers to realize that during the past 30 days, a key lesson about the speed of the current market, how quickly the market moves, has been taught. So you must ask yourself, where do you think I'll be in 6 to 12 months? Do I believe there will be more risky assets? I do indeed. Well, given how swiftly this market swings, you must remain committed to your allocations. You may want to time your way in and out of it. But be aware that if you left the market in early August based on the price action you observed, it will be extremely difficult to get back in, because the modern market moves far more quickly than it did when I first entered the industry. We still need to think about Nvidia in a week, so we can't go on to the next tech earnings season before we finish this one. What do you think of that? It's enormous, of course. At the moment, it is the most significant stock in the world. As a result, the entire market would be severely impacted if they laid an egg. I believe they will surprise to the upside, not the other way around. It seems as though the AI value explosion that Wall Street has witnessed over the past year and a half will simply dry up. But I don't think that's the case. Wall Street is depending on this to happen. Because Eric Schmidt made some negative remarks regarding the work culture at Google. His recent address at Stanford was removed from YouTube after it was somewhat leaked a few days ago. In his conversation with Sam Altman, however, he included a tidbit of information that he and Altman both believe that over the next few years, each of the hyperscalers and the OpenAIs of the world will likely need to spend $300 billion on Nvidia chips annually. As a result, Nvidia could essentially only provide those hyperscalers, and they will have a full order book for the ensuing 4 years. The quantity of money in front of them is enormous and mind-blowing. God bless Broadcom and the AMDs of the world, but Nvidia will receive the great majority of that revenue, more than 95% to be exact. You just mentioned that the money that Nvidia makes is the money that the hyperscalers spend. So, when do you look at what the hyperscalers are spending and say, hey, maybe the ROI, or return on invested capital, side of the story, might be a little longer than I think we're willing to admit as well? How do we interpret that? In my opinion, Meta is now demonstrating that they are profiting greatly from this, which explains why their stock is currently in the mid-500s. I'm beginning to believe that Zuckerberg was misleading us a few years ago when he claimed to be investing a lot of money in Reality Labs, which caused fear and caused the stock to drop to $80. I believe that by spending so much money on Nvidia GPUs, he was attempting to outspend his rivals and gain an advantage over them. He is so leading the way. Would you allow another of these rivals to just grab the lead and emerge as the leading force in AI in the future if you were Andy Jassy, Microsoft, or OpenAI? You're just spending a small portion, in some cases, or definitely less than the yearly free cash flow that these businesses are producing, and I simply don't think you can do that. Consequently, you will not spend that money on M&A because the FTC will not be involved, nor will you spend it merely sitting on the balance sheet. In that same address, Eric Schmidt, I believe, stated that many of these individuals consider the return on investment in AI by asking, what is the return on investment in intelligence? For example, many of them believe it to be infinite. I mean, over the course of the next 5 years, some startling applications will be released. Scott, I've already witnessed a few that honestly make my neck stand up. I understand that everyone is eager to see the applications, but in certain circumstances, they are already available and will be available soon. The launch of ChatGPT is still less than 2 years away. The first 50 customers receive 50% off anything in our store for a short period of time. This offer won't be around for long, so don't pass it up. Hurry now to save a ton of money. Be among the first 50, so act quickly. Use the link below to shop right now. Music.